is scientific method? It is very simple, but strict, meaning that if once one has understood, one has to apply to be scientific. Otherwise, in the middle, we cease to be methodic. Now science starts with observation. We observe phenomena around us. First point, observation. Second point, to understand what is it about. Now, when we start to understand what this is about, questions also arise, because we cannot understand everything. So the second step is to ask questions. But asking questions demands the mind to be intelligent to ask questions. Otherwise, we would ask useless questions which will lead us to more complexities and more difficulty to understand. Understanding is a simple act. Everything which is intelligent is simple. Not simplistic, simple. Simplistic is that when you simplify it excessively and it turned out to be even not clever. But simplify things when we can observe a phenomenon which is complex in itself. Intelligence will explain and show us the simplicity of things inside and to understand. Now, first observation, second to ask questions. And then when the mind starts to ask questions, then the third step will come. It is making hypotheses. Because you say, I understand, I see it, now why is it so? Question. Third step, meaning the big second step, is to formulate hypothesis. Now when the hypothesis is now settled, we have to test it. Science never believes. It is not allowed. You have to testify to prove that what you think about a scheme is first logical, workable, and then so observation, ask questions, making hypotheses, and then testing the hypothesis. This the fourth now is very important, because this demands integrity of the mind. Sometimes when you set up a hypothesis, you want so much that it works, that a little bit in the mind, you arrange things. So that it is not so. A scientific mind should be absolutely inhabited with integrity, meaning that when it does not work, throw it away and start anew, again. Don't hesitate to throw a hypothesis without any proof. If there is not proven, throw it away. So start again, meaning start a new one and test, try to test and get proofs for it. Now at a certain point, this is a very, very important thing, the integrity of the mind of the scientific person. His mind will never compromise. There is no compromission possible. So and so that, no, it is like that. But then there's sometimes science cannot prove, and still it is true. But now, you see, as to the method, I just expounded to you the 4 points of the scientific way of doing. Observation, questioning, hypothesis, proving hypothesis, and conclusion. Now the last point of the conclusion, it is still another paradox. You conclude, but leave the conclusion open, because every conclusion, without exception, is temporary. It is valid for the time being, but a little bit later, somebody with a more open mind will find something else. And this will be forgotten, but for the time being, this is a good conclusion temporarily. This element is essential.
Conclusion.
Yeah, but temporarily.
Okay, temporary conclusion. So we now discuss 5 points of
Yes.
scientific methodology.
Yes.
It is a funny question if I ask you, does the spirituality also have some methodology?
It should have.
Okay.
And people very often forget. Because I would say the common mind needs so much to believe, because it needs security, psychological security. Then this need would distort everything in the observation. When I said observation, this should be sharpness in the observation. Questions is cleverness in questioning. Then still sensitivity in formulating hypotheses. Integrity in finding proof. And this element of relativity to conclude. This is important because every step needs its own characteristic and demanding element.
So if I understand correctly, what you are saying, that it's very beneficial that we apply scientific methodology also
Absolutely.
to spirituality.
It is a must.
Okay.
Otherwise, all the so-called spiritual people would appear to the world as a kind of, you see,
In the clouds.
Yes, foggy, misty thinking. And this is why spirituality is so far neglected. Because there is a big crowd of people acting unscientifically. And the 5 elements, factors I expounded to you is a must even in spirituality. Yet, spirituality has a step further. What is it? Meaning that the whole thing, scientific method, is mainly based on very, very, I would say, sound, solid ground. And sometimes intuition could work, but very mildly. In spirituality, we apply every point, the 5 factors, but the intuition is more emphasized upon. We have to feel. To feel. When we look, we don't only look. We feel in the looking. The 5 senses should be involved in, and not just the looking. You see? And meaning that when you ask questions, it implies the 5 senses. When you formulate a hypothesis, the 5 senses are involved, and also proof also. And then also conclusion also, meaning that it is all scientific method, but a little bit broadened in the way of the senses, not only the seeing, the looking, but it is also everything, the hearing and then feeling inside, which is what we call the inner sensitivity.